Hey, Dr. Kimberly, it says we're live up there in the corner.
Are you serious?
It's what it says. I'm just telling you what it says.
It hasn't even asked me. Oh.
Uh-oh.
And there we are. Well, good afternoon.
We are a high-tech outfit here.
We really, really are.
Unlike our friends at KVO Productions. So, Dr. Kimberly, how are you today?
I'm doing well today. How are you?
I'm just a little tired, but you know.
I think it goes with the territory when you have so many things that you have to do.
Oh, you know, but they're all fun, so I can't say no.
You know, and then when you have more than one hat, oh, there we go. I'm trying to find a phone here so that we can share to all our 50 million different viewers. Doesn't that sound good? We're sharing with 50 million viewers right now, guys.
I did have a glimpse of our future, Dr. Kimberly, because I think in one of the pictures I posted earlier today, you know, there was this wizard of technology in front of like 20 different computer screens and just,
yes.
So we need a wizard to support us so we can just be the talent on screen.
I think that's what we need to do. I think that sounds really great. I honestly do. But I think we might have some company in the house today.
We do.
We've got some company. But today is Tuesday. And guess what? It is absolutely accessible Kent Tuesday. It is April 20th. Can you believe it? That we are now 20 days into the month of April, about 15 months still into the pandemic. And yet life continues to go on. We want to say thank you to the Deaf, Hard of Hearing for rolling with us all of this time, Disability Advocates of Kent County and 100 Shades of Disability, who sponsor us to do what it is that we do. And we have two wonderful women here from Kendall Art Institute. Both of them just happen to be professors. So if any of your students right now see them, hey, they're not skipping class. They just got stuff to do today, okay? Yeah, they just got little things to do. It's not all about you. But anyway, yeah. And you still need to get your papers turned in, okay? Get your papers done. Get your work done. Yeah, they had some stuff to do today. So I know they put class on a little hiatus because they have been a part of what absolutely accessible Kent. We started on last week talking to you, number one, how the name came about. And then we began to talk about all the different persons that were invited to the table to figure out how do we make Kent County accessible for everyone, regardless of their disability. And so these young ladies were a part of the process. And today we had the third annual Absolutely Accessible Kent. And I mean to tell you, I got so excited. I don't know about anybody else when I saw the dishwasher. You know, not that I do dishes at my house, but I'm just.
And just as a quick program note, so when people are watching, they're like, how can I see these pictures? Soon, the today's workshop will be posted on our website. So, you know, for those who were ticket holders, you know, we get a little bit of value being a ticket holder. So you were able to watch today. And then hopefully a month at the latest, we'll let you know when it's released for the whole world to watch. But for today, we're just gonna talk with us ticket holders.
So we want to say hello to Ratanji. She is watching all the way from Detroit, Michigan. Hello to the big D. Yay. And as others come in, we want to say welcome. There were many of you viewers who got an opportunity to have a ticket to view and participate in Absolutely Accessible Kent. You know who I really like, Dave? Yeah. Gayle. Yeah. You know why I like Gayle? Because she's a good sticky note putter upper.
When we talked about, I don't know if we gave Gayle the appropriate shout out last week when we talked about the beginnings of Absolutely Accessible Kent. We had that small series of conversations that we called Drink Beer and Talk Smart. And that's when Gayle facilitated these conversations at, I could list all the breweries, but I think I've forgotten. But yeah, I mean, that really was this opportunity when we said, we got to get serious about this work. And so Gayle, I mean, that we continue to say thank you, because we owe you such a debt for doing that hard work, because people say, just get a facilitator. And it's like, no, that's hard work. So
Well,
anyway.
it was a pleasure and an honor, and it's as much good for me as it is for you, because our job as professors is to learn every day too. We can bring it to the classroom, makes us better and stronger. So we thank you back.
Well, Dr. Kimberly, and part of that quid pro quo is Gayle makes me come and talk to her class. You know me, so quiet and shy in public. So
yes, Dave and I have this thing. We're just so shy.
So she makes me talk to a semi-captive audience. The students could leave if they wanted to, but so anyways, yeah, I mean, it is just so fantastic. And then, as Dr. Kimberly said, AAK 3.0, that sounds so cool. The third annual conference. Next year, we'll get t-shirts, AAK 4.0, actually be AAM, Absolutely Accessible Michigan, but that's a different conversation, 4.0, because, it's been so cool to see people's response, positive response to these conversations and the invitations to be part of designing this as we roll forward.
Actually, what I loved the most today was we were invited to be design activists.
Ooh.
Right? So let's do that, okay?
You are absolutely right. I mean, some of those ideas from Karen, especially, nothing against Rosemarie, but yeah, the design activists and access activist, and design is a social justice issue.
Amen.
It is.
And what, I mean, this is the inspiration for this show, was that all of us got a disability last March when COVID happened, because our environment said you can't go anywhere. Where Dr. Kimberly gets stopped at a restaurant or brewery, if they have 3 steps at the front door, well, we all had metaphorical 3 steps at the front door because they said we're closed. And the thing that Karen said, changing my environment could change my abilities. What?
I love that part. What do you think about that, Leanne?
Well, I have long thought that our buildings, as much as I love a 500-year-old building, I really wish they had more versatility, more flexibility, because I think we learn new things every day. And I would love to be able to quickly make arrangements for whatever needs to be accommodated. But it's nice that more people are thinking about it, and more people at the table. And that's what I liked about both Rosemarie and Karen, is that they both said the best ideas come when everybody's at the table having the conversation. Because an architect is going to forget some things, and a builder is going to forget some things, and a designer is going to forget some things, and the client is going to forget some things. But when they're all there together, they all catch the things that are forgotten.
I like that.
Especially if they have somebody from Disability Advocates there also bringing in more wisdom to the conversation.
One of the trademarks of this show are shameless plugs. So don't hesitate to mention Disability Advocates.
Cheers.
Get a hold of Patrick, who was here last week. And then Patrick, he already mentioned, Jackson, who was our fantabulous accessibility specialist. Here comes another shameless plug. He's a Kendall grad. How did that happen? So Jackson Botsford, our accessibility specialist. I've only been doing this 26 years, and I have not found a better person. Just his perspective and how meticulous he is, and I'm just going to leave it there. But I mean, Kendall College of Art and Design, that's where the two of you hang out, right?
Yes.
I mean, we didn't like appropriately, I don't want to say, we like give us that 30-second introduction of yourself. What do y'all teach and do there?
You
Start
first,
with
Lee.
Leanne.
So I am a professor in the interior design program at kacd, and we have put into our program for probably the past 20 plus years. One of the first design projects that our students do is a kitchen for someone who is in a wheelchair. So students get used to the idea that even though our industry is built on standard dimensions of countertop heights and depths and reaches of people who are 5'6" or 6 foot tall, their job as a designer is to not assume that everyone is the same. And so they learn from their first sophomore studio class that the best interior design is design that accommodates the person who's using the space. So I loved hearing Rosemary, because I actually heard Rosemary back in 2001, maybe, when she first started doing these talks, and her house had not been built yet. It was just an idea. And it's lovely to see how much has gotten accomplished and how wonderfully it all turned out. So I was delighted to see her again.
Gayle.
And I'm Gayle, and I also teach at kacd. I teach collaborative design. I also teach in the Masters of Art and Design program. My interest is in sort of the systems approach to design. I'm just finishing up a user-centered design course where I teach not only interiors and collaborative, but also industrial design and furniture design students. Universal design, that's the class that I made David come to and speak about their work. I am very interested in design for all, in however that's defined. I like the universality of design. I like that perspective. I'm very curious about how we can continue to explore building on what we know and making it better every day. Because we have industrial design in our community at kacd, those folks influence all the stuff that is made, manufactured. So that matters in the kitchen from equipment, right? From mixers and blenders, power tools.
That big handle stuff, right?
Right, the big handle stuff, OXO, right?
OXO, that's what it is.
But they also, and then Lee's work with interiors. We have an architecture program as well. So now we're in the built environment from the outside, and all of these systems pieces come together, right? They all build on each other, and so that's kind of where I like to hang out.
Yeah, and you know that idea of universal design. And many moons ago, there was an architect back when we weren't as serious as we are now, but an architect who uses a wheelchair came into town from Albuquerque, and she was presenting on universal design. And the first thing she said was, universal design is impossible, meaning one size fits all. And then I'm thinking, why did we bring her all the way from Albuquerque? But of course, then she started, like, Rosemary showed today, the flexibility of different heights and that space.
Yeah, I like the counters. I mean, how crazy is that? She's 4'2" in the wheelchair, and her husband is 6 foot tall. And so making that work in one space, it was nice to see.
Yeah. And then of course, if you have a troop of grandkids underfoot, I don't know who would have that. Then you can have different heights for them as well, engaging folks around. So yeah, so both of you listened in today. We've been hitting at things you've liked. What are some of the major takeaways or insights from today's presentations?
I loved that we talked about not just wheelchair users, but people who have disabilities of all different kinds, and how visually impaired, or the campus where they had people who are blind could still find their way around. I would love to see in person Gallaudet College, because that campus has been specifically designed. It really makes you think about all the different ways we can make life easier, not just for people with a disability, but for everybody. And everyone would appreciate it.
I agree. I was fascinated by that example as well. I liked it when Karen said that she was looking for visually and physically dramatic spaces.
I like
I think
that
that was
as well. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And that the idea of that seamless integration, right?
Mhm.
That you didn't necessarily notice that a thing happened with the texture or the change, the pattern of the marking on the ground as a sighted person, but the person who had
Right.
limited sight was absolutely delighted in that, right? And certainly you were too, but you didn't understand that there was a deeper meaning behind that. So that
Right.
seamless integration of design that it benefits people beyond the average everybody is amazing to me, that people figure that out.
What, I missed that line. What did Karen say she was looking for?
Visually and physically dramatic spaces.
Because like you, Gail, I like Post-it notes, and I have one here on my screen from this is taken off my screen from last year's talk with Chris Downey, where he said take universal design and cross off design and universal delight. How are we creating those spaces? Again, that delight. I mean, folks, we're spending a lot of money building stuff. Let's make stuff that delights us, as opposed to, nothing against those people who, what are they called? Brutalists, those wacky French people from the 1940s. What were those people thinking? But I'm glad that's in the past, right?
Right.
We hope, yes.
We hope. The Soviet Union's no more, so we don't have to build those concrete towers. We can put some delight in our buildings.
Please.
And I was, when your students, Lee, design that kitchen, does anybody lift up that dishwasher the way Dr. Kimberly mentioned it? Like today, again, I've been going to presentations on universal design accessibility for a while, and that's the first time I've seen the whole machine lifted up, and it's like
Yes.
I'm the guy kneeling down to get stuff out of my dishwasher at home. And in theory, I'm able-bodied. I'm like, I want that thing lifted up in my house.
I actually saw that a few years ago, and I love that little trick to bring that thing up. But here's the thing that we also have to really condition ourselves differently, is every magazine photo of a kitchen maximizes the view of a countertop that is a monolith all at one height. We really need to change our idea of what's beautiful in a kitchen and show how a 40-inch high counter and a 30-inch high counter and a 34-inch high counter work and play together really well and make a beautiful space.
And I think that was Karen's point about spreading the love, right? Talking more about how well we can design more inclusively, and that points of view and lines of sight line that she had is let's change the points of view and lines of sight so we can see things we wouldn't have seen without somebody else sharing with us what we could be seeing. It's called visual literacy. It's a thing you could take as a class.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
kacd.edu, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Got to. We're all about shameless plugs, because folks, get down there. because you're going to learn
Line up.
how we build this world over the next generation in better ways.
All
So
right.
the other thing that I'm super proud about with disability advocates is zero step. I've always been fascinated by that, and that every Habitat house in Kent County meets zero step standards. And when we talk about affordability and people say, oh, well, it's not affordable, baloney, or whatever word you choose to insert. Thank you very much, Judy David.
One more, just one
Very
more.
good.
Exactly.
A mug.
So please talk
Exactly.
a little bit about your zero step project, because it's really critical that we think differently. We can't keep doing things the same way and expect a different response, right?
Well, and you're absolutely right, and that's the piece, because then Dr. Kimberly was talking about it in her own home, which is a zero step home, as one guest with a person who uses a wheelchair, that and only because my staff here, and their friends and colleagues, I hate to admit it on air, but like Dr. Kimberly can visit my house only if we have a bonfire in the backyard, because I got steps. I got a lot of steps. My house was built in 1907. I'm terrible. Sorry. But
I got the same house, that's true.
I know. And so at the same time, that advocacy of everything that's new, and we're working now, like the city of Grand Rapids, to digress in the universal lack of delight, that they're building stuff that has only one or two units on the ground floor that are accessible, and the upper floors don't need elevator service. And these are brand new buildings, and the cost is so teeny relation to the building. One 15-unit building in my neighborhood, it was going to cost $10 more per month per unit to put in an elevator, and they said, nah, we're going to skip it, because they could. So anyways, with zero step, we're trying to show folks, right alongside Rosemarie as she talked today, that folks, here's how you do it. And the zero step guidelines that are available on Amazon.com to look at every room of the house. And actually we start in the driveway, that if you have a home with a driveway, how to make sure that is going to be universally designed. And then all throughout the home, there's, to say, requirements, and then all kinds of options, because the people who make things are always making new things. And so from motorized blinds and drapes, hey Siri, open my blinds, you can buy that, but that's not a requirement.
Right.
So anyways,
Yeah, and I want to add one quick thing.
Turn
and
off
that is-
Siri.
Yeah, one quick thing is there's cost and there's value.
Exactly.
And that is a major difference. And I think that's, as I was looking for a home, I appreciated how they say how to list your home, to let someone know that it is accessible to you based on your disability. And I thought that was really nice. And for me, it wasn't, well, how much does this cost? It was about the value that it meant to me. It was valuable that I can reach a window in case I wanted to get some fresh air, because it's, it's springtime. I want to hear the wind, kind of whisk through, or that the thermostat is low enough that if I get cold, I can just wheel up and boop, 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 boop. Those things to me, they add value. They may not mean anything to anybody else, but to me, that adds great value.
And the cost of home building, and then the statistics that Rosemarie showed us based on, what was it, 2015 in Ohio, it was like $9,000 to do universal design. And it was $80,000. And that is a cheap estimate on if you have to retrofit something new, because again, just rehanging one door, and you don't just widen the door, you got to do that thing across the top, whatever you building
Header.
people call that.
Header.
The header, that's it. You know, I mean, again, it's and yes, offset hinges, we actually, you know, have those installed in a lot of people's homes because there really isn't any other options, but still just getting through a doorway and building ramps and those thresholds, you know, and but it's so with the 0-step wanting to, and as you noted, Gail, thanks to a local foundation that made it a requirement for Habitat, all their homes are 0-step certified. Rosemarie had her home 0-step certified when she was in construction on that. And so it's great, you know, thanks to shameless plug for the Wege Foundation, who's funding this business development part of our project, and Patrick's position. So that way he is out there again, working with architects, builders, developers today to incorporate this stuff, to see that value that when you're doing it today, it's just going to help. Because the one funny statistic about Habitat is that most people who, like, what they started in 1981 here in Kent County, I remember that because that's the year Disability Advocates started, shameless plug, that most people who are in Habitat homes in the 80s are still there. They aged in place. And guess what? The people that moved in, everybody who moved into that house in 1981 is now 40 years older.
Wow.
Isn't that weird how math works and time?
Yeah.
And so I know it's scary, but everybody, as those folks age in place, and those original Habitat homes, and again, this is not critique of Habitat because we see them, again, we all see them all over our community, these split levels, which is even worse than Gail and Mai's house, because at least we could attempt a ramp, but once you get into a split level, then you're doomed, because like, which way do you get, like half a flight up and half a flight down? And so, yeah, there's 4 levels of living, and which means maybe 1/2 is accessible. So yeah, that's the long answer to say we want to continue to educate and have those conversations, and to that point that you emphasized, Lee, that just get people around the table and ask the question.
Absolutely. The time is now 4:28. Wow. Time flies when you're having a great time. But we want to say thank you so much for our guests, Lee Ann and Miss Gail, which they're both professors from Kendall Art Institute. And they are teaching what it is that we experience today at Absolutely Accessible Kent. We want to say thank you so much to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing for rolling with us for over a year now. And thank you to Disability Advocates of Kent County and 100 Shades of Disability, who sponsor us to do what it is that we do. We bring you up to date, in real time information that is usable and it is shareable. And we answer all of your questions, and I tell you, I think we do a lot better job than the news. I'm just saying, because there's a lot of things that you've heard here first.
No, we did something that Gail could probably talk a lot about. We got scooped yesterday when Herman Miller, it was announced they bought Knoll. That, you know, this is Furniture City, people. So you folks in Maryland and other places watching us, we're all about office environments here in West Michigan. So this was massive news. We got scooped, Dr. Kimberly. We got scooped.
I don't know how that happened. That just means, you know, they're really trying to add some extra days to us. But I'm telling you, we're out there just doing what it is that we do. And we are so excited about the idea of making Michigan absolutely accessible. I mean, we started in one little area. I really like to say what power is what power does. And that if you have the power to influence and you don't do it, then I just think that you are powerless. And we all have a sphere of influence. It only takes a minute to say, hey, we're not going to do this way, and this is the way we're going to do it moving forward. You don't like it? Oh my God, you don't want to be a part? Not a problem. We got 10 other people that are waiting. But I'm going to drop a shameless plug. I appreciate Mayor Kepley of Kentwood, who has gone out of his way to spend more than $660,000 to make sure that Kentwood is totally accessible. And he didn't wait until he was a mayor to do it. Again, he took the power that he had in his engineering job to make some changes and only solidified them when he became the mayor. So anyone who has a city job, oh my goodness, we had some of them, oh, or they're a county commissioner. Oh,
These things can happen.
those, yeah, people like, did we do the Brady Bunch point? They're down that way, one this way. And that's why I appreciate Dave so much. It's not just that he's a county commissioner, and it's not just that he's the executive director of Disability Advocates of Kent County, but he has meshed those two jobs together in such a way that it's almost like a real thin line to know which hat he has on.
But a real line for campaign finance reports. So enough talking about Dave here. Not that
No, but
you're embarrassing me.
But this
But-
is the example. No, isn't this half my show too? Yeah, okay, I thought so. So if I want to compliment Pastor Dave, I can compliment Pastor Dave.
All right, Dr. Kimberly.
But I would like to say though, you are definitely an example that others can follow, because on the left hand, you're working for a nonprofit and we're all struggling, with our handout, help us. But at the same time, you can see a problem, and with your right hand, you can help to solve the problem. And I think that if we get more people who, even as being a professor, guess what? I can teach those who are going to go into these professions something that can help them to make a change. So what's the purpose of going to school for 4 years, 6 years to get your master's, another, I don't know if you're real quick about doing it. Let's add 3 more years to get a doctoral degree. You have all of this and you sit on it and you never use it to change someone else's life. What has it been for?
Well said.
Yeah, absolutely. And so since I'm a politician, I like polling and instant polling. Lee and Gayle, on a scale of 1 to 5, how well are your students latching onto when I come in and talk, or Chris Smith of Disart, or again, I know you're presenting universal delight and universal usability. How much is it sticking? 1 to 5.
I'm gonna say a strong 4, depending on who you are, maybe a 5 or a 3, so I'll pick 4. I also think there's a delayed reaction. I think there's a delayed reaction that when you're in the moment in the classroom, on top of all your other stuff, there's stuff, right? But when you're out in the world, then I think there's an immediate, oh.
And I would say definitely the 4. And even as they get a little further along, a 5. And the more they start perhaps planning a family and thinking about the 4-wheel drive strollers that are now available in this world that need to go in and out of the house, and bikes, and small children that trip up and down stairs, it becomes real personal real fast. And knowing it's easy for them as they start families makes it easy for them to understand aging in place or having other needs. So I'd say they latch on and they can see it in action fairly soon, which is helpful.
I appreciate how you made that correlation for your about your students. That they might start out in year 2, 1, 2. Yeah, okay, I'm just doing this. By 3, 4, it's like, oh, this stuff is serious. And one day I'm gonna have a family, or maybe my sister just had some kids, and I see how if we design this way right now, it will make life so much easier for her. One of the things that I really gleaned from one of our charrettes, I want to say that it was early on, and initially I didn't know how to process it. And I want to say thank you, Gayle, because the issue was, why should we do this for those people? It should only be thought of or have the face of grandparents having their grandchildren, and maybe the sidewalk is not wide enough for grandma and grandpa to push a stroller and little, Tracy to ride her bicycle alongside. So this is why you need to make a wider sidewalk, not because a person in a wheelchair, especially if they're in a motorized one, there's not enough space for them to make a turn around on the sidewalk, or there's not enough space for a spouse to walk alongside their spouse if they're in a hover round or a scooter. It's like people don't want that picture. And I think it's like, why not include those who need it? But the way you said that right now, Leanne, I think that we should show it all. That if we're talking about something being universally used, then let's show everyone, and not let's just say because my cousin is blind or my sister is deaf and my best friend is in a wheelchair, but how all of us can use these spaces. One of the things that really hit home for me today was both of them talking about the visibility. And I'm not talking about the vision, but someone being able to visit you.
Right.
And where do we go if we want to visit? How do we meet up if there's no space that will accommodate all of us?
When you think about, and very especially young people, young families in their first home, they want to host Thanksgiving and have everybody come to them to see that, they've got their own house and they're all grown up now and they want people to be there. But it's really difficult if grandma and grandpa can't get into the house. And it's really difficult if there's somebody who has a disability that is now left out of that family party. So the more houses that we have that are both affordable and accessible, the more you can kind of spread that wealth. So you're not always just going to one person's house.
Right.
And then that one person is responsible for making sure everybody is comfortable and fed and has all the different types of potatoes that they all like. Right?
Right. I think that it's interesting. My daughter has the majority of my grandchildren, and I appreciate the fact so much that when she's thinking about where am I going to move, she just got a new place, and she always tells them, my mother is in a wheelchair, so I need to make sure that she can come and visit me. And so she did. She got an apartment that has a 0-step entry. It is awesome. I can come in and sit and have all these little, people just falling all over me and just be all in love with me and stuff. I'm just saying, But I just appreciate. And then when she thought about it, she says, Mom, I like the fact that you're in a wheelchair. And I said, you know what? What is that about? She says, no. She says, everything that you need. I have 5 kids. And she says, and just what it affords me, not having to, take a stroller up and down, stairs along with a diaper bag. And well, I don't want to walk today. Okay, so I have to carry one and push one and pull one. And you know what? It is nice to just have, that 0-step entry. Everybody just kind of meanders right on out on their own. And, having doors and locks, because the older ones have to assist with the younger ones. And it's like, oh, well, can you open up a window? Oh, I can reach that. Why? Because it's accessible.
And how many times have you come into your house with both arms full of grocery bags and a lever opening lets you get in the door that much easier and faster so you don't drop the grocery bags?
Absolutely.
The situational disability.
My big dream is that the little button that opens up the hatch on my car could open the door on my house.
I like that idea too.
It probably exists. I just haven't met it yet.
Well, speaking of wacky hopes for the future, I hope my colleagues send out a evaluation form if they haven't done so for today's presentation and conference. But I'm going to request both of you to give us a spoiler. Oh, there's Skip.
Say, well, hello. Somebody's back there hanging off on my wheelchair. So he's like, me too. Say good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
There is the skipper. So quickly, I'm going to ask you for a spoiler. If you could, like a year from now, COVID's gone, so we can gather, who, national, international scale, would you want us to bring into town to talk about this even more and deeper? Who's first person comes to mind?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I already gave you my local, and I'm not going to say that out loud in front of everybody.
Okay. So,
yeah, that's a
Gosh.
put me on the spot. I'll have to noodle
Yeah.
on that.
well, then, I mean, I wouldn't call her a friend. I think she's your friend, Gail. But
Sarah
I've only met her.
Hendren.
Yes. So she
I
just
wanted
came
to be
out.
my friend. She's amazing.
She's amazing. So she came to town a few years ago for a Disc Art Symposium.
She's
Awesome.
She's Chris Smith's friend.
We're gonna get her here. Gail, Lee, anybody come to mind?
I don't have a name, but I'm telling you, I want to start really looking at landscape architects and really see how this exterior outside living gets translated into accessibility for everybody, because we are inside way too much of our days and we need to be outside, and it needs to be easier.
Yes, I agree. But guess what? The time is now 4:43. Time flies when you're having fun. Gail, any final thoughts?
I just thank you very much for inviting us. We had a blast, and appreciate all you do for our community, and thank you so much.
I love you. Appreciate you. Lee?
I would say the exact same thing. Thank you so much for having us. If it weren't for advocates to make their lives manageable, our lives wouldn't be easy. So thank you very, very much. And I just want to keep spreading this word.
Absolutely.
Universal delight. That's what it says on the Post-it note. Universal delight.
Very good.
We like that.
And then the other mug, Lee, we need the shameless plug for kacd.ferris.edu. Check them out, folks. Go get some learning.
And we will definitely put the website on the header of this show. And so we just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for teaching the young what they need for us old folks. You know, I think I'm kind of getting there already. But letting them know that it's not so far away from them, and that it is something that is a universal delight for everyone. Just think about the parents with the twins that were so happy that there was an automatic door, that they didn't have to try to open up a fire door with a stroller with crying twins, packages, and him trying to fix bottles or find a binky. You know, it was just nice to go boom with the elbow and the door automatically opened. So as you are thinking about, oh, they want us to do the 0-step, this universal design, I like to say, when you make a decision based on the least, you have, the least excluded, you have included everybody. So we're not just talking about people like me who are in wheelchairs, but I'm visually impaired, I'm hearing impaired, and got a little PTSD going on there. And so it's just nice to be in a space that is a universal delight. And after the last 15 months, I'm sure others would too. So we want to remind you to please mask up and make your appointment to get your vaccine. Yes, and they come in colors, they're fun. You can accessorize with them. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. But if you're eligible now, please sign up to get your vaccine. If you haven't been tested, please get tested. And don't forget to socially distance, wash your hands, all that fun stuff so that we can get through this. Because you know, what do they say? We are better together than we are by ourselves. So if not for yourself, do it for your son, do it for your daughter, do it for grandma, do it for grandpa. Just do it for mankind. We appreciate you. We love you. On tomorrow, we are so excited. We have a couple all the way from New Jersey who will be on the show. And you can see what it's like, you know, as an advocate, they give a hand up, not a hand out, and how people can really live their best self-directed life when you give them a hand up and not a handout. And so we have a couple that are a recipient of a free iPad with the Connecting to Your Community with 100 Shades of Disability. And I'm so excited, and I'm just gonna spill it because I can't hold it. Because they got the iPad and also the Apple Pencil that goes along with it, they were able to illustrate a book. Yeah, using the iPad and the pencil. And that's what giving a hand up looks like. They're able to live their self-directed life and bring in some income for themselves. But they have a great story and you're really going to enjoy it. So tune in this same time tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, don't forget to mask up.